Well, welcome to Inner Balance TV. I'm your host, Dwayne Hartman, and tonight I'm going to be interviewing Oracle Laura. Oracle Laura is a psychic, a medium, tarot card reader, healer, and she's an oracle, spiritual teacher, and life coach. She has been doing this sort of work, most of this work, ever since she was a little girl. And she had an interesting upbringing as well, which we'll find out. Now, she also works with the police department in discovering disappeared people. She is a fascinating person. You'll like her energy, and she has a book coming out very soon. Well, hello, Oracle Laura. How are you?
Hello. I'm quite well. Thank you, Dwayne.
I wanted to interview you because you are doing some really interesting work when it comes to psychic abilities, being an oracle yourself, right? Or as in Oracle Laura, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you've been doing this work for some time, ever since you were a little girl, right?
Yes, I've pretty well been doing this my whole entire life. I haven't been giving psychic readings in the way that we see a psychic reading being done. I haven't been doing that my entire life, but I've been helping people, healing people, working with my guides, the dead coming to me and working with the spirits and those who have passed on. I've been doing that my entire life. So I've been pretty well taking all the steps in order to become what I am today, which is an oracle, yes.
Right, right. So in helping, like you had mentioned, the dead, is that crossing over, helping them to cross over, or?
Yes, but it seems to be they have me in a role that's much more than that. A lot of those who have passed on who come to me, they come to me because they feel they want justice. Because of that, I've worked a lot with the police department and missing persons. I worked with the VPD, the RCMP, and missing persons quite a lot for many, many years, because apparently the dead who come to me are usually murdered or have had an injustice done to them, and they're seeking someone to help them in that way. Mm-hmm. So I suppose you could call it my specialty.
Yeah. We've had a pretty big case here in Canada when it comes to that you have gotten a lot of information as well. That was,
yes. I believe you're talking about the Picton case.
Yeah.
That one was extremely difficult for me to deal with because it took me many years and a lot of different dreams to realize it was the same person, because I have a lot of cases like that come to me, and I've had a lot of serial killers and victims who have come to me in dreams. And it took me a while to realize the similarities between a lot of them. And when one in particular happened, and I told everybody that I knew about it, and I tell my friends and my family, and I tell them about it, that one in particular, when it came on the news and everyone else found out about it, they knew right away, they knew immediately that that was the dream that I had. And they all called me that day. They're all telling me, have you seen the paper today? And I'm like, no, because I never watch TV or read papers very much unless I'm actually investigating something. I don't even have a TV. And so they would call me and they said, go out and get a paper. And I did. And they said, is that the farm in your dream? And it was exactly the location of the buildings. Shockingly, everything was very accurate, and it was exactly what I had seen in my dream, even down to the way I had written it down and described it in my dream book. And that one, I realized that was why so many of them had similarities. Once the case came out and more came forward about it, I realized so many of my dreams were that one particular killer. Mm-hmm. And that's what, made me compile it all together and approach the police about it, because I realized, oh my gosh, those are all the same. That's all about him. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. That was a very unique case in another way as well, because during the court case, we're talking many years here, like I started having those dreams in 1999. What I recall, it may have even gone back to 1998, but after the case was going to court and they were doing the jury duty selection, I received a notice in the mail for jury duty. And I thought, what are the chances of that? Not only for so many years were the victims coming to me in the form of the dream, but I also got jury duty notice.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was such a bizarre coincidence. And in my, in my belief, a person like me, you can't believe in coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. You just don't know it at the time why the reason is. But it's like the victims had known I was going to get that jury duty notice. It's either that or they somehow found a way to get it to me. Mm-hmm. But the way I look at it is they must have known that I was going to get that. And so I was the one to reach out to.
Right.
So it was just another bizarre thing in regards to that case. Not only was I given those dreams, but I also got jury duty notice.
So with this going on and this intense with, I mean, you've been doing this a long time, and you even mentioned that your family was into the psychic abilities as well, right?
Yes, my father, when I first approached him about it, I was about no older than 3 years old.
Yeah.
And I asked him, because I started to notice that I'd know things just before they happen, or something I think about would then happen, and it was starting to trip me out. So I asked my father, why, what is that, and why am I doing that? And he told me, he said, well, the word's psychic, so now I had a name to apply to it. I didn't understand what was going on, so now I understood what I could call it. And he said, you got it from me.
Mm-hmm.
But I later found out my mother was a medium, mm-hmm. and her mother was a medium as well. Mm-hmm. So if I did get the psychic ability from him, I got the medium side from my mom. So I always grew up thinking, well, everybody must have this.
Right.
It took me a while. I started going to elementary school, and I started realizing, no, I'm a little different. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so it did run in my family, and that was it was okay, because I in the home it was there. I understood it, and I understood what I was going through, and everyone sort of understood that I was just really, really good at board games, and I was always going to win at cards.
Right.
So no matter what they were doing with me, I always seemed to know everything. But when I was at the school, it was very challenging for me. It was challenging to have the ability that supposedly everybody has, but not everybody develops it and uses it. Maybe they didn't have it as much as me, and maybe the dead really don't talk to everybody. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it was different growing up that way. Yeah, very challenging.
And that must have been something for you growing up, like you said. You were a bit perplexed at 3 years old. I mean, that's 3 years old. Right?
Yes.
I mean, what was it like to have the veil so thin that the dead could just walk up and talk to you?
I suppose it was shocking at first because I didn't understand what was happening. Then when my family explained to me what it was, I started to understand it better, but apparently they didn't have it as strong as me. So then again, I still felt like an outcast even in the home sometimes. And as I got older and I started to notice not everybody had it in the way that I had it, it was much more difficult. And sometimes I would lose friends. Like, for example, one murder case, the first murder case I ever worked on at all, the first murder case was in Nanaimo. I was living in Nanaimo at the time, and I had a dream about a murder. And I told all my friends about it because it was very devastating for me, because it was about children. It was very upsetting. This man had killed this child. And so I told them about it, and then we're all sitting outside in the sunlight, in the sun, enjoying the day, and we're listening to music on the radio, and then there's a news that comes on the radio, and there's my dream. Everything, you could hear a pin drop. Everyone stopped talking. Everyone turned and they looked right at me. And one man in particular said, "Don't talk to me." And for that moment on, he wouldn't talk to me again. But my other friend beside me goes, "You know what? You've got to go to the police about this." So that was the first time I ever dealt with the police or anyone in regards to someone dead or missing. So I was 18 at the time. I've been working with the police and missing persons since then. But it was challenging because it was my first time. I didn't even want to go, and he goes, "Don't worry, I'll go with you." But it is challenging. It's not as easy as it seems in on TV and the movies. It's all glamorized. They make it look like you're so prestige being a psychic detective. It's not really that way. It's still hard to accept for everybody. Even the police. It's understandable. It's there's a lot of skeptics in this realm.
Yeah.
And so I've had to deal with a lot over all these years of having this. I've had to deal with skeptics even in the police force. So it's okay. Yeah, it's okay, but it's been hard because I'm there willing, trying to solve a crime, trying to solve someone who's missing or kidnapped, and the last thing you want to deal with is someone that doesn't believe you because you're there trying to help.
Yeah.
So I've had many different cases I've worked on, and I've had some difficulties with certain individuals, but all in all, it's been good. It's been something that I really enjoy doing. I actually like doing the psychic detective work above all else because I like having the team. I like having the team effort, so when I can go to about it. Whereas if I just have a dream and something happens and I have to try and find that missing person, I don't know where to begin. I can type in the name into the Google search engine and hope that maybe they've already gone missing and I can find out about it. Or I can, hopefully if I get an address, I can go to that address. But having the teamwork of the police on your side is a blessing. It really is. It's making it a lot easier.
Yes. I could imagine, right? Yeah. I know there's been a couple of experiences earlier on in my life where we all of a sudden started getting these dreams, and it was about some children that were stolen here from Edmonton, right? And where they were ending up and what was going on with that. And I remember that when that sometimes that information comes in, it's hard to stop it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've you have done a lot of work in this way. Also, you help people personally too, eh?
Yes, I give psychic readings full time as well as tarot card readings, seances. I do a lot of healing as well, people who are ill. I've done a lot of physical healing, as well as spiritual and mental healing.
And you do that online, right?
I do it online. I do it in person, by email, and I also do it online. Yes, I do.
Yeah. A lot of modalities are moving online. It's amazing. People from all over the world can contact you and experience what you do.
I have to be honest. I have to say that when I first heard about doing it online, I was worried. I didn't think I could do it. I thought, well, I'm so used to doing it in person, I don't know if I can read someone who's far away. Not that they have to be right in front of me, because I sense things and then they happen. Like I'll sense the earthquake in Japan, or I sense the typhoon in the Philippines, before it happened. So I don't feel like I have to be there, but I was still nervous because I don't want to give a mediocre reading. I wanted to do one that was really accurate. So I was worried about doing online. But when I started doing it, I realized when they were telling me, wow, you hit bang on. You got dead on that one. And oh my goodness, no one's been able to know that about me. I started to feel good. I felt, oh my good, that's excellent. That's excellent that I could read someone who's in another country and I can see what they're eating for dinner and I can see what their living room looks like and what color they're wearing and what kind of shirt they're wearing. It felt really good, and I guess that's remote viewing, you would call that.
Yeah.
It felt good knowing that I had the same accuracy with someone who was, in another world. It was good knowing that. So I've actually, it's another one I can add to my resume, I guess. I can do online readings with confidence, knowing that I'll be just as good as if you're sitting there right in front of me and I can see you in person. I like knowing that I can reach out to more people that way, that I can actually help people all over the world, and they don't have to be there with me. I can be far away. I can still do something for them. That made me feel really good.
Yes.
Knowing that. I
had that as well, that experience with what I was doing. I thought that, I was always, I even taught that 90% of all communication is nonverbal, and if you're not there right in front of the person, you're not going to. Well, then it was kind of like the universe, kicked that stool out from under me and said, okay, here you go. All you're going to have available to you is online. Let's see. And yeah, you definitely develop a telepathic communication. You develop a much broader antennas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pick up things, you can see things. I mean, it's the same. No. Yeah. You also share and teach about manifestation, eh?
Yes, I do. I work with a lot of people who need confidence building, who need a higher amount of self-esteem and self-empowerment. I work with them so much on that. It seems to be such a common thing with the people that I work with that I've actually, I've done a video on it on YouTube, and I have a book ready to go that I'd like to get published. Just waiting for a publisher on that one. I have a book on manifestation. It's something that everyone can use. You don't even have to be into seeing a psychic. You don't even have to believe in psychic ability. You just have to believe, and that's it. It's just all about having faith and trust and confidence, not just in the universe, but in yourself. Because what we don't realize is that we can bring things to ourselves. For example, if you have negative lifestyle, or if you have negativity around you in regards with the wrong people you're hanging out with, or if you're in a wrong kind of a relationship, you have so much negativity around you that you're not developing anything good in your life. You're not having anything good happening, and you're wondering, what's wrong? Why am I not getting the things I want? Why am I not successful? Why do I not have the job I want? Why do I not get paid more? And why is my health deteriorating? What's going on with my health? Why is everything crumbling around me? It's like I've got a black cloud over my head. When we finally realize that it's not like we're purposely doing it to ourselves, but when we realize that the small changes that we make in our lives, when we make one little change, it's like a ripple effect, we create another step towards positivity. We've got a better partner. We've got a better outlook on life. Our health starts to improve. Every time we build up our confidence, we feel better about ourselves. We're able to touch another part of our life. We're able to all of a sudden gain things. For example, if you're in a bad relationship, you start feeling depressed and you start feeling moody. You start having arguments and you're not getting along with that person. Then your health starts to deteriorate. It starts to become a physical thing, not just emotional. It goes from depression to all of a sudden starting getting headaches to getting ulcers. Before you know it, you could have cancer. You didn't necessarily purposely create the illness, but without realizing it, you've brought this physical ailment on yourself because this emotional baggage turned into something that your body couldn't handle, and it just grows from there. When we learn that we can be willing to receive something that we feel we deserve, that we deserve better, and we put in the effort and the will and the trust, And then we ask, and we learn how to ask. For example, if I was to say, oh, I hate my job, I wish I had a better job, why can't I get a better job? I could turn it around and say, I'm going to get a better job. I know that this is not the job for me, and next week someone is going to help me. I am going to get approached. I'm going to get a job offer next week. I feel it, and I know it's coming. And I'm going to look for it. It happens. All of a sudden, you're like, oh my God, I just got this person that walked up to me and said, guess what? I've got a job for you. Would you like it? And you're shocked. You're like, it's like I thought about it, and then it happened. I made that happen. But you have no idea how often that has happened in my life. Mm-hmm. As I myself have realized that ability to create your own universe in a way, to create your own world around you, my life just falls into place for me now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'd like to admit something to you.
Okay.
This show that I'm on right now,
mm-hmm.
I asked for this no more than a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And I asked for it. And here I am.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can land in your lap, but oftentimes you might have to make an effort too. So the only thing that people have to understand is you can't just sit on a chair and go, okay, bring it. I deserve it. Give it to me. Sometimes we have to have a little bit of willingness as well.
And you know what it was for me to contact you? You had put a comment on another interview, and you said, I want to be on that show. And I just went, well, that's direct, powerful, and a big yes. So yeah. I just wrote you back. And
instead of me sitting there going, oh, I wish I could be on that show. I wonder if I post something, if he'll notice me. Instead, it's like, I'd love to be on your show.
Yep.
And then right away you're like, okay.
Yeah, let's go. But there was something in the energy for the audience to hear. There was something in the energy that was in that comment that made me go, boom, okay. You know, it was just, okay, let's go. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Positivity. And in fact, you can create almost magical effects from this way of thinking. I'll give you an example. When we were filming my video for soulmates, I was doing all these different videos for YouTube on different topics, and one I chose was for soulmates. Now, only because he didn't want to move the camera off of me and lift it up to show the sky, he knew to keep it on me, so he wasn't able to catch it. But he said, you're not going to believe what just happened behind you. As soon as you started and the camera was rolling, you started talking about soulmates. Those crows that you hear behind you, two came up behind you, joined together, and then took off and flew away together. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you didn't get that? You didn't get it on camera? And he goes, well, I knew not to take it off of you. But it was wonderful knowing that here I'm just talking about something, and it's almost like I made it happen. Something in the universe answered what I was talking about and made those crows fly away together.
This is something I really want to talk about because it's something that I've tried to help people to understand. Is that you really create almost like you end up creating a synergetic vortex around yourself that is your own personal reality. And things magical happen within that vortex. There's a lot of energy being put out about the fact that of what I call in the spiritual community the we. All of us, we all have to do this. We all have to whatever. And I try to share the fact that if you develop what you're talking about, this synergy, this magical aspect here, where it is your reality, then that information then does move out into the other people do pick it up. But to take it without that vortex and go in and trying to share people and tell people to do it, it doesn't work as well as creating within your own vortex. You need to do that personally. People need to do that personally, don't they? And they need to learn how to do that. They need to learn how to create that synergetic vortex where you are in a magical place. Anything can happen. I love the way that you talked about manifesting, because the way that you talked about how you manifest is that I feel it. In 2 days, somebody's going to call me and this is going to happen. You built a story. I mean, the way that I look at it and from my work is that people have these stories they keep repeating. And we have to take a look at what's those results. They aren't very good.
The patterns.
It's all the patterns. They did this, she did that, he did that, blah, blah, blah. The stories over and over again. But if you step into this synergetic vortex that you're talking about here, this magical place, and you reach out and you say, this will happen in a few days, I know it. I know it. And you say it with that power. Yes. Yes.
That's where we always get those sayings from. I made that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can't believe something's happened and you're like, pinch me. Because you feel like you're in a dream. You wonder if it's all reality. But it is. You can actually make this a reality, and that's the whole point. And you've touched on a very good point when you said that we all play a part in it. We are all messengers, in a way. Sometimes a person will come to you with a message of something that you just needed an answer to this week, or even today. You're thinking about something that's been bothering you, and a complete stranger will walk past you, look at you, and say something that answers that, and then just keep walking. And it was like something out of a dream, but it really happened.
Yes.
You're walking along, and some stranger plays his part in it. We're all messengers, and we all create this positivity, and we're all tools in this. We all help each other. Exactly. I like the way you said that.
So, this is fascinating. This is good. Because this style of doing it, this is pure wonderment of a child, like they talked about. You can't. It's just wonder. It's play. It's wonderment. It's creation on that level, and it works. It works.
And that's a good point there too. Don't you notice how when we're children we believe in all this magicalness so much more? Like we think we see a fairy over there in that tree, but maybe there is. Maybe there's something really in that tree watching over you, and it looked like something very magical. It could be an angel, and you're thinking, you know, it's a butterfly, or it's a bird, or it's this magical person, it's a fairy. Who knows? It probably is really there watching you. But as we grow older, we're like, you know, I probably had a glass of wine last night and it's probably still affecting me. I bet that's not really there, and I'm just wishing and thinking it's there. Or maybe it was just a branch. Maybe I just, you know, it's at a corner of my eye. We seem to want to brush off this magic that really is happening all around us. For example, just the other day, I was with a friend of mine. We're talking about woodpeckers, and it made me remember this toy that I saw as a kid. There's this woodpecker that dips for the red pollen. And I was making fun about it, going, I remember that when I was little. And then he went back into his office, and he came out just 1 minute after, and he goes, come here, you're not going to believe this. And so I went in with him, and he points to the window, and he goes, look out my window. And there's a woodpecker outside his window banging on the house next door. And he goes, we're both talking about the shock, the coincidence. We're just talking about woodpeckers. Neither one of us had heard a woodpecker, saw a woodpecker, nothing. We're just all of a sudden talking about this woodpecker thing that I'd seen as a kid. And then there's a woodpecker. A minute later outside his window. So was I sensing a woodpecker for some reason? Or did I bring that woodpecker? Or was it just a message sent to us because we'd been talking about it?
Yeah. Yes. And all of it probably, hey?
All of it.
You know?
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah.
So when I work with people and I give them readings, I try to explain this to them, that it's not the cards. Like, usually what happens is I don't even end up using cards, and people are shocked. They'll be, at the end of the reading, they're looking over at my table and they're saying, "You didn't even use the cards." And I'm like, "I know. We didn't even need them. Notice that, eh?"
Mm-hmm.
Usually what happens when I use the cards is right after I've just told them everything I sensed about them. The cards, they want the cards, so I do the cards next, and the cards say the exact same thing I just said to them. Or even more shockingly, I'll say something to them, say they're going through divorce. I'll talk about divorce, I'll be talking about marriage, I'll be talking about divorce, and then I'll pull the card, and it'll be a divorce card.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll look at me really shocked. And I'm like, "See, I just mentioned that."
Yeah, yes.
So there's magic, even in when I'm giving a reading. One woman was a skeptic. She came with two of her friends. There's three of them sitting there. And the one girl, the skeptic, she tells me, "I don't believe in this." And I'm like, "Well, that's okay, because, it exists whether you believe in it or not, and that's okay. You're here for moral support. You don't have to believe. I'm not going to sit here and make you believe."
Right.
But by the end of it, she was so convinced, because I took 5 different tarot decks, and I pulled the same card from each deck, and I kept putting it in front of her. And she was convinced. By the end of it, she was almost in tears, and she just begged me to stop. She goes, "Okay, enough. I get it."
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So I guess you would say the most that I would want for myself is for people to believe.
Yes.
Because it's, even in religion, they say, if you have faith, then you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. A lot of society wants to see before they believe, and that's okay, because I'm a skeptic myself. I'll have messages repeated over and over and over so I can finally know that, okay, it's accurate. That's good. I needed that. I needed to know for sure, beyond a reasonable doubt. I want to know for a fact that is true. So even I'm a skeptic. But the majority of the public, they're so stubborn. They don't want to believe. It scares them, and that's understandable that it scares them. So even with proof, they don't want to believe. But in this spiritualism and in this type of in psychic ability, you have to really believe first, and then you see.
Yep.
With actual proof. Mm-hmm. You will see. Like the woodpecker, for example. Mm-hmm. What if I just brushed that off and said, that's a coincidence? Mm-hmm. So what if I was just talking about a woodpecker? There's a woodpecker. But say it was to happen 5 more times. How many more times would the spiritual world have to do that to me before I'd finally have to start believing?
Yeah.
So the one thing that is most important for me is for people to believe. Because what a waste. What a waste if everybody doesn't believe and they don't get to have the magic and the manifestation that you and I have. Mm-hmm. That you and I believe in and we use as a tool to improve our life. It's not selfishly. We're not hoping to just become, go down to the casino and manifest a fortune. We're not using it to use people. We're not doing it for selfish purpose. We're doing it to seriously improve our life. Yes. And to improve the lives of others. Yeah. So it's a waste and it's a shame for those who don't want to believe, and they don't leave that bad relationship. They don't stop that unhealthy lifestyle. They don't leave the dysfunctional career they're in, and they do get that ailment. Mm-hmm. And then their life is cut short. And then they die, and they look back with regret, and they're like, oh, what have I done? Mm-hmm. What could I have done different? I I want people to believe so that we can stop that, so that we can give people an improved life.
See, here we go. We're born like this. We're born like this. We're born magical. We're born believing. We're born this way. And then we go through a system that slowly hypnotizes us
Yes.
into something else, and rejects this aspect of ourselves. Right?
Well, because then we're not controllable, right?
That's right.
We're in control of our own destiny. Oh my gosh, what will we do?
Yeah. So here's a whole society. To fit into the society, you have to denounce this. But what's happening, and I know it's in your work too, what's happening that's really neat is this is starting to shift. And people are starting to do this. They're starting to denounce the social programming that's been going on through media, through everything. And realizing, you know what, there is something magical about me. I always knew it. Right? You know what I mean? And for you to remind them of that magical part of themselves, I mean, that's why we do the work, right? That's why we do that.
Yes.
To have people go, you know, it is me.
It's not coincidence?
Yes. You know? That's, you know.
Because, like you said earlier, you used the word pattern. It's true. People have patterns. They fear change, and they feel comfortable in their pattern, but then they complain their life's not getting better. They're complaining, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening? When they realize if they step away from that and look and reflect, they can see that, oh my gosh, you mean if I just change this, it might change that? It's nice to be able to be there and to help them and say, you know, what if you were to just say, try this? What would happen? What's the worst case that would happen to you? Would it jeopardize anything else in your life? Or could you risk that? Could you take that little chance and say, well, maybe today I will apply for a different job. Maybe I will answer that ad. What would happen to my life? What if I did take a course at college and I took something in art? Something I've always wanted.
Yeah.
Would I be able to make a living at it? Or worst case, could I say make a hobby out of it? And at least that way I could have my bills paid with this job, but I could still become the artist I've always wanted to be. Or would I just stay here in my pattern with this miserable job and then die and look back on my life and go, gee, I never did do that art I really wanted to do. That's sort of a shame. I guess I'll have to relive again and come back and try it next time.
Yes. Hence Groundhog Day. Over and over again. Same day, just different. Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. But, you know, the nice thing is that we are moving into the awareness of this. When I first started, it was a long stretch to get people to even come to the idea that they create their own reality. Now people are coming to me wanting to know how to do it better, right? They already know that part. And that's kind of freeing, you know, and exciting to see that with people, that they know they're creating their own reality, right? And just how do you do it? I mean, certain things came out, like The Secret and whatever, that got people thinking about these things, right? And which it is a beautiful thing what's happening to the consciousness of the planet by it happening. People are more open to the ideas, right? Because deep down inside they know somehow, I know I'm doing this to myself and I don't know how, right?
That's a bit of my theory as to why they come to me before they die. Like when I was saying earlier that I have these dreams and the victims come to me. Most often, these people that come to me haven't really died yet and they're in the future. And I feel, I know when I give readings, since I give readings so much, I've learned that a lot of when the dead come forward to me in a reading, and someone that they know that has close to them that has passed on comes to me through their reading, they usually have regret. And they come forward with a message for that person sitting in front of me that they want to tell them. Something that they feel bad about. and they have these regrets. So the most common thing to feel when you die, you might feel shock first. You might feel, oh, I can't believe I'm dead. This is strange. I didn't think I was dead. Then you have to accept that you're dead. So now you have to deal with that. But then comes the regret. They feel regret. They look back on their life. They look back at who they've hurt, who they've left behind, or the things that they've done wrong in their life, or the things that they never did. And so my feeling is a lot of these people that come to me are having regrets. They're looking back and going, this is what's happened to me, please help. And they wish that they had done it differently. A lot of them are having regrets over what's happened to them. They know that they played a part in it in some way. So there's innocence in it in some way, but in other ways, they're realizing that they got themselves into that. And they want help sort of getting over that so that they can move on. Mm-hmm. And so they can let go. There is so much regret in our lives that if we just realize, well, what if we did it now? Mm-hmm. What if now was the moment where I say, you know what? I'm going to make the change now, and then I'm not going to regret later and think, well, I hope I get another life because then I can do it in that life. What if this is all we get? What if this is the only life I have left? What if I don't get to come back? Wouldn't now be a good time? Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people who suffer with addiction. I know a lot of people who suffer with ailments, and I know a lot of people that have patterns with being in an unhealthy relationship, abusive relationships, and they seem to think that it's okay to suffer, that maybe they deserve it or they can't find someone better, and they don't, maybe next lifetime they'll be with someone different. So they're gonna suffer through this marriage, they're gonna stay in this relationship, in that marriage, and then maybe another lifetime they'll find their proper mate. What if that person was to realize the power of now and say, I'm going to leave this unhealthy, abusive relationship, or I'm going to leave this addiction behind me, and I'm going to have a good life now. I'm not going to wait and risk everything and hope that I get to come back and live it again. I'm going to make the change today. Mm-hmm. If I can help people realize that. Mm-hmm. So for every person that comes to me for a reading, they're willing, and I let them know that. So even if they're going to be stubborn in some way, they're not going to listen, or at least not today, maybe they're going to continue the pattern and keep making the mistakes. They've heard what I said, but they're not going to apply it just yet. Mm-hmm. But as long as I can tell them while they're in front of me, if I can say, you're making the right step, you're here, you're willing, otherwise you wouldn't be here, and you're listening. If that person was to take what I said, take it home with them, think it over, and if one day they made that change, I'll be happy. Mm-hmm. They don't have to do it right away. Mm-hmm. It'd be better for them if they did. It's for them. It's all choice. It comes down to choice. Mm-hmm. But as long as in this lifetime, before they hurt themselves or others further, if they were to make the change sometime soon in their life, I will be a happy person, knowing that I succeeded in using my gift, my abilities, to help one more person make a change. Then I'll be happy. That little girl that was no more than 3 years old, who approached her father and asked, "What is this?" Mm-hmm. If that was me answering her, I would say this. I would say, you have something special. You're going to know things about people that they don't realize themselves. And you're going to help them choose a better path in life. You're going to help people with that gift that you've noticed you have. It's a good thing, and it's a blessing. I would just be so joyous. That little girl.
Mm-hmm. And you have.
Yes.
Yes, you have. Okay. And you're living it now.
I am. Not next lifetime.
No. That's
This
right.
lifetime.
That's right. And that's, that's what we do, or what I do, and what we're doing here is encouraging people to step into it. Step into what it is that your heart's desire is. Do it now.
Your soul's mission. Your
soul's
destiny.
Purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Find it this lifetime.
Yes. Mm-hmm. People ask you all kinds of questions, eh? Yeah.
One question that people ask me a lot is about dreams.
Mm-hmm.
They're not sure how it works, how to dream about a particular person that's passed on. They don't understand if it's a premonition dream. They don't know how to tell the difference. It confuses a lot of people. So what I like to explain to them is when you sleep, your conscious mind and body rest, but your subconscious is still awake. That's what you dream with. When you have a premonition dream, it's used with your subconscious, but it's somewhat different. Not everybody has premonition dreams. So some people have a dream about someone they love dying, and then they get scared. Right away they think, oh my God, is that person going to die? I dreamed that. There is the possibility that it was a premonition dream, yes. But other people also have fear dreams, things that they're scared of. They also have wanting dreams. So if they're missing somebody, they might dream about them because they want to see them. They miss them. They want this. You also have dreams about the things that you've seen during the day. Things that are on your mind are going to end up in your dream. So if you've just watched a movie, a scary movie, you might dream about it because you just watched it. So not everybody has a premonition dream. I, on the other hand, every single night, I dream all night long, and every dream I have, every 1.5 hours you dream, every dream is a premonition dream for me. So I know if I dream it, it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. The best way to understand the dream is to have someone interpret it for you, because you might be scared if you have a dream like mine. You might not know if it's premonition or if it's just something scary or if it's a fear dream. So yes, it's good to have someone interpret your dream for you, someone who's experienced, like myself. I'm a medium. The other thing is, people have a hard time remembering their dreams. Some people say, I don't dream. You dream all the time, but I don't. I never dream. That's not true. Everybody dreams, but not everybody remembers their dreams. Sometimes that's a good thing. Depends on your dreams. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. If you want to remember your dreams, the way to do it is to think about it the moment you wake up. Lay in bed. Don't think about what you're going to do today. Don't call somebody and start talking. Don't check your computer for emails. Lay in bed, relaxed, as if you're still sleeping, and think about what you just last thought. Think about what you may have just last dreamed. Because generally, the last one you dreamed will come forward first. If you can recall it, write it down. Write it down, because as you go through the day and you start to live your life, you won't really remember the dream anymore. You'll forget details. So write it all down. The reason why we're waking up and thinking about it helps also is because it puts it in your conscious mind. So consider it this way. You have a subconscious mind, which you dream with. Then you have the conscious mind. That's asleep. That's not awake at all while you're resting. In order to remember the dream, you must place it as a memory in your conscious mind. So when you're waking up, you're thinking about the dream, you are now placing it in another memory storage in your brain. You're placing it in your conscious mind, and that's the one that's awake. that's the one that can now remember it. So it's almost like you're two people. You've got your subconscious mind is telling your conscious mind what to remember. Once it's there, you can now remember it. So you could ask me about a dream I had, such as the Keenan murder. It's not a murder yet. He was returned to the home. But my dream says otherwise. The Keenan kidnapping in Sparwood, BC. I was able to remember that dream because the moment I wake up, it shocked me. I thought about it. I recalled every detail I could possibly remember, and I wrote it down right away. As I'm writing it down, it's placing it now in my conscious memory. So now you could ask me about that dream, and I could tell you every single detail of what was in that dream because I've now placed it in my conscious mind.
Cool. Cool. So what other questions do people ask you?
One of the most common ones that people ask a lot are about guides. Guides are not something that can be learned immediately. It takes time. When I worked with my spirit guides, it took me time as well. It took me, I guess I would say it took about 1 to 2 years. I didn't know I had guides. When I was a kid, I understood that. But like we talked earlier, as we become adults, we start to forget all those things or brush it off, and we don't want to think about that. We think that's an imaginary friend. So as I got older and I was distracted with life, such as school and relationships and dating and jobs and career, you don't really think about it as much. You don't notice it, but they're still there. Whether you want to think of them as being God or whether you want to think of them as being angels, guardian angels, your spirit guides are people, not necessarily people, some are angels, but most often they are people, they lived a life, and they are assigned to you to help you with messages. Mine work a little bit overtime because of what I do. But for the average person, I'll use them as an example. You would have a spirit guide who works in your favor. They're never a bad entity in any way. So for these people that say that someone bad told them to do something, that's not true. We have spirit guides who are there to guide us through our life, to make sure that we make good choices for ourselves. They're also there to protect us. So we have companion guides. We have protecting angels. And I have guides who help me solve my dreams. Guides who help me with readings. So I'll give a reading to someone, and my guide will give me information that will help them. For example, when I cured someone of diabetes, I took them to a homeopathic store. I asked them what would help, not thinking I could cure diabetes. I was asking, well, what could sort of help with diabetes? And they said all these different things, a huge long list. They were listing off all these things that are supposedly supposed to help with the symptoms of diabetes. And one word stood out, and my guide said, ask him about that one. And it was cinnamon. So I asked, what does cinnamon do in regards to diabetes? How would cinnamon help? Because as we all know, it's just you sprinkle it on oatmeal and it tastes good. And they said, well, it balances out the sugar levels in your blood. So if it's too high, it'll lower it and it'll balance it out. So it's good for diabetes in that way. So I immediately put my boyfriend on the cinnamon. And I had him on it for, I guess it was about a month. I put him on organic food as well, but nothing special, just lots of vegetables and healthy foods because, you know, he wasn't eating all that healthy either. But I went crazy on the cinnamon. I put cinnamon on everything he ate. Cinnamon on broccoli. Let's go. Let's have your cinnamon. His doctor no longer wants to talk to me, no longer even looks me in the face, won't have anything to do with me, because now there's absolutely, through all the tests he does regularly, no trace of diabetes whatsoever in his body. He is completely cured. Unless he does something to get it back, he's cured of it. Mm-hmm. He no longer has diabetes. That is one way a spirit guide is extremely helpful. You can sense things on your own. My guides have informed me. I used to think, well, maybe it's them that's telling me everything. What's this about being psychic? Maybe there's no such thing as psychic. Maybe I'm just hearing voices. They're telling me everything. They say it's a teamwork effort, that I'm psychic. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to hear them and understand what they're saying and listen to them. And I also sense things on my own. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so with the team of them and me, I'm able to help give readings. I'm able to help people in a reading, much more so.
Yeah. Oh.
So it's another gift. It's definitely a blessing communicating with your guides. And I get a lot of questions from people on how do you communicate with your guide? Not just how do I talk to them, but how do I make contact with my guide?
Yes, yes.
Well, it's definitely a matter of being ready, believing in them, believing that they exist, knowing what's your thoughts and the difference between hearing a message and hearing just your own thoughts. And being able to carry a conversation with them actually takes a lot of practice. Even during a reading, sometimes I'll just hear a word. I'll hear macaroni, and I'll say, okay, what does macaroni have to do with you? And she'll go, well, I just had macaroni for lunch. And I'm like, okay, so that was a one word, but I was able to apply it. So a lot of times our guides are not able to make contact with us because we're not listening. Mm-hmm. It's not them, it's us. Mm-hmm. We're not believing, we're not listening, and even if we're listening, we're not really doing what they suggest. We may hear them, like, don't cross the road. Mm-hmm. And then you start crossing anyways, and then a car almost hits you, and you're like, oh my God, I guess I should have listened. I sort of had this feeling I might get hit. Something was telling you, don't cross right now. Wait. Yeah. And we were being stubborn, and we weren't listening. Mm-hmm. That is most often a guide, a guardian angel. Someone is telling you, hold on a minute, slow down, because we need you here still. You're not going anywhere. Don't get hit by that car. We want you. Mm-hmm.
And that's a good thing.
Yes. We're all needed. We're all needed here. Because like we said before, we're all playing a role in each other's lives, and we all need each other. Whether it's just to learn from each other and teach each other, we all need to be here. Mm-hmm. We should be taking that upon ourselves to decide when we should go, because it might not be our time. When I was born, I almost died. My mom didn't think I'd live. For 2 weeks, I was hooked up to a machine. She seriously did not think I was going to make it. And I stayed. And I went through some challenging times in my life, and I often look back and going, okay, why did I stay? Why am I here? I don't feel like I belong. I don't feel like I really should have stayed. Life is very difficult for me. But today, as I'm talking to you, and I'm realizing that I'm hopefully reaching out to a lot of people, and hopefully they're learning something from this, I now have purpose. I now realize why I lived. I now realize I needed to stay. I had a reason for being here, and it was not time to go. I needed to be born, and I needed to use this gift to help others. Mm-hmm. So we all must understand that when times are tough, tomorrow's a new day. Mm-hmm. And we might be able to manifest a better life for ourselves, and we can look back on the hard times and go, wow, I made it through that. I'm still here. This is great. I'm a strong person. I can handle this. Yes. We all need to stay until it is our time. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Well, our time is is to the end here now, but as far as the interview is concerned, is there any last things that you want to leave people with?
Believe, and you shall receive. Just another repeat of what I said earlier. I want people to have faith and trust and believe and know that you can change your life to be whatever you want it to be.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
And I guess we'll sign off for now. Love, light, and blessings to you.
Thank you.
And to everyone watching. And we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Dwayne.
So I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and just to remind you that Oracle Laura does her work over Skype as well, and over the phone, so do take advantage of the online as well if you're not in Vancouver. Take care. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.